Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here, Locked on Big 12 podcast. On today's show, quick update from me, and then a look at some Big 12 basketball from this week. But first, our intro video.
You are Locked on Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, hello, everybody. Once again, I am Josh Neighbors here, Locked on Big 12 podcast. So we have not had a video since last week. The reason is because I got COVID-19. I tested positive for it on Sunday, and the voice kind of went with it. I attempted one on Sunday afternoon because I knew things were going to get worse on that front. All the people I've worked with from podcasting to radio have said, yeah, the voice goes a little bit, and you guys can tell my voice is not totally there yet. So today's episode probably won't be the full thing. I am posting episodes from the other Big 12 shows. Today we'll post Texas Tech's on the feed as well, just the audio feed. But that is why I have not been on air. I'm fine. It was a pretty mild case, just a fever in day 2 and the congestion and the coughing. So all of those things, but still stay safe out there. I know, it kind of put me on my ass, for lack of a better term, for a couple days. I was still able to work, which was nice. The really nice thing was I was able to watch a lot of college basketball, not just Big 12 basketball, but a lot of college basketball. I've been able to watch all the Big 12 games over the last few days and wanted to share some of my thoughts on those games with you guys. First of all, though, today's show is brought to you by our friends at betonline.ag. You go to betonline today. You guys can find all the scores, props, and odds that you guys are looking for. Betonline.net now or betonline. Just search those two things. You guys will find them at the Super Bowl this week. All the scores, props, odds, news, all those things are available at BetOnline. You go there today, and they've got UFC, they've got boxing, they've got Vegas casino games, so they've got it all right now at BetOnline and BetOnline.net. All right, so let's kind of just go back in time here. Let's go to Monday night when Texas gets their 79-76 win over Kansas. I posted Jonathan Davis's episode, the new host of Locked on Longhorns, where he talked about this win. This was the landmark win for Texas, and to be honest, I didn't think they played their best game from start to finish, but they played in a way that they were going shot for shot with KU in the end. And this game kind of went back and forth, but Texas always had an answer. And I think the big question for them, though, is who's that guy down the stretch for them who's going to take big shots? And they got a bunch of big shots from a variety of guys. Timmy Allen was really the player who came up biggest for them across the board in that game. 24 points, 9 rebounds on the night for him. Marcus Carr, they win when he had a really rough evening, but they did get awesome contributions off the bench from Andrew Jones and Trey Mitchell. The transfer was 4-12 in the field, but he was 8 for 8 from the line. UMass transfer has a big night for them, and that's the key, right? Is if they can get those guys kind of playing well together, and they've got so many new players, right? Askew and Mitchell and Disu and Carr and Bishop and Allen, all these guys who play a variety, a large amount of important minutes for Texas. They're still trying to get those guys to mesh together. It's still not a fully formed product, but Texas, under Chris Beard, is dangerous, and they're such a tough team. The problem for Texas is that you're in a conference where there's so many tough teams. There's Oklahoma, there's Texas Tech, there's Kansas, there's Baylor, and depending on where they are, any night of the week, and I mean, I'm just mentioning a few of them there, depending on where you are one night of the week, if you're in Ames, if you're at home, if you're in Lubbock, it just depends. But it's pretty easy to get out tough by some of these teams, once again, depending on the environment that you're in. And I think Texas has fallen victim to that at times. I think they flex their muscle in this game, though. KU had some good runs. They had some bad runs. And really, I think the thing here for me was Texas made a lot of their free throws. Number one, it's pretty simple. And they did a really awesome job turning over Kansas. They only had 7 turnovers themselves, but they turned KU over 15 times. I think Jalen Wilson's he just seems to improve now game to game. It's a game that he really thrived in. 18-11, he seems to be such an important part of that transition offense because of his athleticism. And also, there are some times, he is not racking up the assists in huge numbers this season. There's some times where he makes some really impressive, important passes. Thought Dave McCormick was tough in the post at times. He's been criticized, but 2 blocks, 18.7 rebounds. I think it's a game tonight where they got beat, right? And they were red hot in their game against Baylor, and this tough environment now to go and bounce back from. So I don't think it's an indictment of KU at all. I think it's more of I'm impressed by the performance from Texas. I will say the end of the half might have swung things. It was I think it was a 1 possession game at half, or it was around 1 point. Excuse me, still going with the cough. All right, we're good. There was a swing where Texas got the lead back up to 5. And so that was a very important little run there for Texas and kind of getting this point. But that was a signature win that we were looking for, and they were able to get that done 79-76 at home. TCU gets a bounce-back win without Mike Miles, 77-73 at home over Oklahoma State. That was important for them. Keeps their head above water in the Big 12. They're 5-4 in the conference, 16-5 overall, so their quality of play continues at a very high clip. West Virginia gets a much-needed win, 79-63, pillar to post, nice win. Taz Sherman comes back for them and gives them 16 points on the night with 8 rebounds and 6 assists, 2 steals to go with it as well. And the conversation around him was really, the concussion. How long can they keep themselves kind of in business, that being West Virginia, with Taz Sherman's sideline? And it's really awesome to see that he got back. They shot 50% from the floor in this game, 50% from 3, 86% from the line. That'll get the job done. The big problem for West Virginia was the 20 turnovers was not excellent, but for them, getting this kind of win is important. Iowa State, not really in any danger of missing the tournament, I'd say at this point, but they are 3-8 in the conference. So we'll see if they can improve that record. But last count, which was 2 days ago from Joe Lunardi, Iowa State still pretty safe, I believe, in the tournament field as it sits right now. He has them as a 9 seed. Once you're in that 9 seed line, that's when you're a little bit of danger to start moving towards the bubble. But West Virginia, who's been kind of off the bubble right now, this win gets them back towards it, a nice win against Iowa State. And we'll see if they can kind of keep pressing forward and get themselves towards the NCAA tournament. They do have a nice little stretch of games where a lot of their difficult opponents are coming at home. All right, let's get to last night's games. First, let's talk Baylor 75, Kansas State 60. So this is a good win for Baylor, a nice bounce-back win. This game was tied at halftime, but Nigel Pack provides over half of the points last night for Kansas State. 31 points on 10 of 19 shooting, 4 of 9 from 3. He's just been a dynamic scorer for them. The only problem is Mark Smith and Nigel Pack combined together for 48 of Kansas State's 60. That's a problem. They got to find scoring from other places. They get only 8 points from their bench. They got Noel back. The guard has been pretty good for them. And last night he goes 0 for 5, does not score. He was coming off injury, and I'm not sure if it's injury or COVID, but a difficult night for him. Really, the key for Baylor last night was their bench. They get 38 points from their bench. They get 8 from Jeremy Sohan, and go along with 7 rebounds as well. They get 9 points from Bonner and 4 assists, 3 steals. They also get 21 points from Jonathan Chamwa-Chachua, who also gets 6 boards as well. He's such an important part of what they do. Just from the toughness standpoint, from the athleticism standpoint, he was a key figure for them last night. Excellent defense across the board from them. They hold Kansas State to sub 40% from the field. They hold them to sub 30% from 3. I thought it was good defense. There's some shot clock violations. They're forcing difficult shots, and sometimes Kansas State made them. Baylor did a good job pulling away. It's a game where Kansas State really could have made that bubble push with the win at home. Tough one for them to lose here after getting a nice win. But still, they're 12-11. They're 4-7 in the Big 12. This is not a team that they're going to have their chances, I think, down the stretch. At Iowa State, West Virginia, at Oklahoma State, at KU, Iowa State, at Texas Tech, and Oklahoma to end the season. There's a really good argument to be made that if they can go above 500 here, let's say that's 7 games left. If they can go, they're going to probably need to pull off a 5-2 here down the stretch, but a 5-2 for Kansas State would put them, 12-11 right now. That'd put them at 17-13. A 5-2 would also put them at 9-9 in the Big 12 Conference. I still think their losses early in the season were not that bad. Marquette, Illinois, and Arkansas were their 3 losses. And you think about the wins that they have. Texas Tech was a big win for them at home. At Texas, there's a win that looks better by the day. At TCU. So they've got 3 very strong wins. Oklahoma State's a nice win to go with it, but really the 3 strong wins we're looking at right now. They've got opportunities at Iowa State, West Virginia, as I mentioned. Those are 2 teams that are going to be quadrant 1 wins for you. And racking up those quad 1 wins, we know how important that is. At Kansas is one that's going to be difficult, but they played them really close last time. That would have been a great win to have. I think their season's a bit different if they win the KU game. At Texas Tech and Oklahoma, so they're going to have plenty of tournament teams to beat, but they're going to have to pull off 5-2. It's going to be difficult, but not impossible right now for them. Excuse me. All right, so one more game to look at here, and then we'll get out of here. Oklahoma gets a 70-55 win last night over Texas Tech. Things were heading in the wrong direction for OU. Right now, Joe Lunardi has them as last 4 buys, and there's a variety of places you guys can look. Jerry Palm does a great job. Mike DeCourcy does a great job. All those people are great bracketologists, but OU was heading in the wrong direction. Last night, going into the game, they were 13-10. They were 3-7 in conference. Well, 13-11 and 3-8 in the Big 12 was a whole lot different than 14-10 and 4-7. This is a pivotal win they just picked up last night. This will put them on the right side of the bubble. 30 points from Mojo Gibson to go along with 5 rebounds and a steal last night. He led the charge for them. Did not get much from their bench, but their starters gave them just great production on a night where they needed it. They got 13 points from Elijah Harkless. They got 10 points from Jordan Goldwire. They all shot the ball pretty efficiently. They get Jalen Hill in there for 9 and 7. I like what he does. He kind of took that small bench role that he had last year, and they just apply it in a much larger scale. Still doing a lot of the same things. Ask him to do a lot. Shoots 2 threes, makes 1 of them, 4 or 6 from the field. Good cutter. He's a good offensive rebounder. 3 offensive boards for him last night. That's what that's just kind of what he does, and he helped them win that rebounding battle to a tune of +8. They played great defense. They held Texas Tech sub 40 from the field, 2 for 17 from deep. Their perimeter defense was awesome, and they kept them off the line, allowing them to shoot 14 free throws on the evening. Yeah, this is just one of those tough nights in the Big 12 for Texas Tech. I think this is still a top 10 team. I think they, on their best night, they can just be a team that can really, honestly, can beat anybody. Gonzaga, I know, gave them a run earlier in the season, but I think this is a different Texas Tech team now. But this will happen to you. And this was an Oklahoma team that was desperate. They were hungry. They moved the ball around well. Elijah Harkless hit a big 3 in the second half that kind of pushed the lead to above 10. He's a confident shooter. I love the way he's able to attack off the dribble too. Mojo Gibson's not a big player, but he can give you nights like this sometimes. And for him to give you a 30-piece and just kind of be such the heart of this offense, well, I said it a bunch this year, I missed Davion Harmon in this team. But for them to get an effort like that, there's some questions about where this OU team would go. I like their trajectory, despite the fact that there was there's a lot of mixture in terms of, losing guys like Davion Harmon, losing guys, also Alondis Williams, who has absolutely been phenomenal at Wake Forest, and still being able to be right in this fight and be right here. You think it could be a transition year, especially in this difficult conference? It's not the case right now. It's not the case. So Oklahoma picks up a big win. That keeps them on the correct side of the bubble for right now. But a pivotal win for the Sooners in a schedule right now that is full of difficult games. They are at Kansas on Saturday. They're home for Texas, I believe, on Tuesday. They're at Iowa State. They're at Tech. So a 4 or 5 game stretch you're looking at here that's against tournament teams for sure. Tech, Kansas, Texas, and Iowa State, and then Texas Tech again. All those right now we know for sure are NCAA tournament teams. So obviously making these wins much more important. And you look ahead to Saturday, a lot of fun and exciting games in the Big 12 Conference, as there always are. We'll hopefully have a full preview for you all coming up on Saturday, but just kind of a quick look ahead right now. Texas and Baylor at 11 on ESPN2. It's a top 20 matchup. Oklahoma at KU is on CBS at noon Central. West Virginia goes to Oklahoma State on ESPN2 in a game they really have to win to keep racking up victories after their long slide. Texas Tech hosts TCU, which could be a fun and interesting game, and Iowa State needing a win pretty badly. Both these teams need to win pretty badly. Iowa State hosts Kansas State at 3 o'clock. Both those TCU games and the Kansas State-Iowa State games, those are coming at 3 o'clock. The Iowa State game on ESPNU, the Texas Tech game on ESPN+. Make sure you guys right now check out everybody else's coverage while I am kind of down for the count, not doing as comprehensive of coverage as I normally do. But make sure you guys go check out Steven Simcox at Locked On Horned Frogs, Linda Godfrey. She does great work over Locked On Pokes. John Williams at Locked On Sooners. Now, obviously, we have Jonathan Davis, Locked On Longhorns. We also have the fellas Ryan and Emery, who are doing awesome work right now at Locked On Red Raiders. We're just growing constantly now with the amount of teams. There's still 10 Big 12 teams at this moment in time. But the good news is, a couple good news things that are pretty good news. We now have, TCU, Texas Tech, Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. I think I've got everybody covered, but 5 of the Big 12 teams right now are covered in our network, and also 2 of the new teams that we're going to add, Locked On Cougars, for BYU, and you guys see Jake Hatch on this channel a whole lot, so it's good to add. It's good to be adding schools that have some hosts, and also Locked On Bearcats is getting going as well, and then hopefully we'll add Houston and UCF too. I'm sure we will here in the near future. All right, that's the update for me. It's the update for Big 12 basketball. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at LO Big 12. I appreciate some of the support you guys gave me over there. It was very nice for those of you guys who chimed in and said get better soon. I really do appreciate that. It makes me want to get back, start doing videos. I felt bad that I hadn't posted anything. I just wanted people to know. Really appreciate you guys sharing the channel. We're up to 600 plus subscribers right now, so keep spreading the word, keep sharing this around. We'll continue the coverage. One more piece of news. I had a Mark Smith interview, Kansas State guard. So I kind of have gotten a few messages. Hey, more Kansas State stuff. I had an interview with Mark Smith lined up for 11 o'clock on Monday morning. And then I messaged Tom, who's an awesome guy, the SID over at Kansas State basketball. I was like, Tom, the voice will not make it for the interview. I apologize. So he and I are going to conference, hopefully get Mark on early next week, maybe. And we'll see where we can go from there. Hopefully we can get Mark Smith on. But for you Kansas State fans, that was one of the piece of information. Had it lined up, and then just the voice was, it's weak right now. It was half this on Monday. And I was like, I can't do that interview. So hopefully we'll get that one squared away, get that up on the channel here pretty soon, hopefully sometime in the next week. Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube. Once again, follow us wherever else you guys get your podcast. And to close out the show, one more word from our sponsors, things that I will be crushing and helping me get back to full strength. Built Bars. Not Built Bars any special power here, but it's a great protein bar. It tastes very good. When I sit in the couch and I'm being lazy with COVID, I'm not feeling guilty about the Built Bar. And I'm not shoving a candy bar in my face. I'm shoving a Built Bar, which is good and good for you. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Flavors right now available, my friends, are mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They are delicious, and they've got new flavors coming out all the time. If they think a flavor will be good, it probably will be. Right now, go to built.com. That's built.com. Promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off today. And finally, before we get out of here, if I had to guess how many teams right now are going to get in from the Big 12, I actually did this the other day on SiriusXM I'm producer normally on Big 12 Today. I have a segment on Fridays called Prop the Top Off. I'm going to share that here with you guys. And hopefully this week's edition I'll share with you all. The way it works is I basically set over-unders. And so I set the over-under for Big 12 teams in the NCAA tournament for men's basketball. I set that at 7.5. I'm going to go over on this. I'm going to go over. I don't think Kansas State makes the run, but I think West Virginia's got enough, in my opinion, to make that run. If they get tougher interior play and they can take advantage of some of these opportunities here, they can make that run and get team number 8. I think Oklahoma, with this victory, puts them safer side of the bubble right now, helps them climb up further on that bubble. And I think we're going to get a push from West Virginia here. Maybe comes the expense of the other top teams. I'm not as confident this year in Kansas as I thought I'd be at this point in time. That win against Baylor was awesome, but then they got thrashed by Kentucky, and also they just lost the game that we saw against Texas. Some of these Big 12 teams could get hot, but there's really no team to me that stands out above the rest. It's ripping off victories right now, in the Big 12. But you go over last 4 teams in right now for Jerry Palm. He's got Stanford, Miami, Florida, Mississippi State. First 4 out, he's got West Virginia, Oklahoma, Wake Forest, and VCU. And I think with that West Virginia win, you're going to see them inch closer towards the bubble. The last update for this was February 7th, so that was a few days ago. In that space, we've got wins for West Virginia, wins for Oklahoma. I think Wake Forest picked up a win, and so did VCU. Mississippi State last night, I think, took a loss to Tennessee. I actually didn't see. Let's see if they took that loss last night to Tennessee. Tennessee gets the win. So Mississippi State loses that game. Stanford, who's on this list right now, just lost as well to UCLA. Not a loss that really hurts you too much, but still a loss nonetheless. So results that are helpful right now, depends on where you look, but there's a variety of opinion right now. And to look at where he's got some of these Big 12 teams, just to wrap up here, he's got KU as a 1 seed. They lost, but their danger team right now, kind of looking at the 2 seeds that are out there, is probably Purdue. That's the one team I think that can come up and be that Big Ten champion and snatch that 1 seed, or Wisconsin really at that point could do the same. You keep looking down the line. The next team that he has got is Texas Tech and Baylor, both as 3 seeds. You keep on going, so that those 3 teams we all feel pretty confident about getting in at this point in time. On the 5 line, he has got Iowa State. At this point, he's also got, in the 5s and other teams in the conference. 6s, he's got TCU and Texas, both coming in as 6 seeds. That's 2 teams that you're seeing right there. I think we feel pretty good about at this point in time. I don't think anybody's too worried about them falling off the bubble. Jerry Palm looks this a bit differently. He's got a team like USC on the bubble who, I think most of us feel like they're in, but he does not feel as strongly about USC as other people do. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, there's 6 teams right now that I feel pretty good about in terms of the NCAA tournament hopes. KU, Baylor, and Texas Tech are just essentially as close as you can get to surefire locks. I think that's where we sit right now. Those 3 teams we think are going to be there in the end. And also, they're not out of the possibility for going and getting a 1 seed. So Kansas, Baylor, and Texas Tech. To me, Texas is, they're right there with TCU. Those 2 teams are pretty much squarely in right now. They would need kind of collapses here down the stretch for them to fade. Iowa State's hanging in there right now. The problem for them is If the season ended today, I can't believe this is true. If the season ended today, Iowa State would be last place in the Big 12. They would be there's only 9 teams in the Big 12 tournament this year because of Oklahoma State. They would be the 9 seed. They would be the 9 seed. And right now, we see them as a tournament team. It's because of their resume earlier in the season. But at this point, that's where they'd be. They feel safe-ish. But the 5 you feel best about right now are Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, and TCU. So Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, Texas, TCU. Yeah, make sure my math is correct there. Oklahoma and Iowa State are next. I actually feel a little better about Oklahoma now at this point than I do about Iowa State. They need to keep that conference record around 500, but because they've racked up some good non-conference wins, that Arkansas one looks better by the day. Right now, they're in good shape. Kansas State and West Virginia, the next 2 teams. I think West Virginia's got a chance to make a run. So right now, I feel good about the 7 of Kansas, Baylor, Texas, Texas Tech, Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, TCU, Oklahoma, Iowa State. I feel good about those. West Virginia, Kansas State, do some work. Get us that 8. I think 8 will be the most that you see. All right, that'll do it for the show. I miss talking to you guys, as you guys cannot tell. Hopefully we'll have a full weekend preview coming up tomorrow. The next time, my friends, as always, stay safe.